Zemo is clearly and undeniably a villain in Captain America's Civil War. Or is he? It wasn't purely about revenge, he did have another purpose after all, so I'm gonna go ahead and show you that Zemo is not a villain and may in fact have been right after the intro. Well, hello there, my name is Jeremy and welcome back to Freeform Marvel. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and strap on in as we keep digging deeper into Marvel and the MCU. So today, thanks to one of my viewers, Darscal, who requested this video, we're taking a look at another misunderstood villain. This time it is Zemo, just in time before he makes a new appearance in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Now, I enjoyed this series, and I hope you do too. And Zemo, by the way, let me say, most certainly murdered people, including through his attack on the UN that killed many, including T'Chaka, the King of Wakanda. That is certainly heinous, and you won't hear me try to disagree with that. But why did he do that? Was there a reason beyond simple revenge? Was he right to break up the Avengers? Is he, at the very least, misunderstood? Well, here we go again. Here's the case. Aside from revenge, we don't get a super clear picture for why Zemo did what he did, just a few snippets of dialogue, so I'm gonna present a reason which would seem to fit given what we know. Zemo saw firsthand the blind eye the Avengers turned toward the little people, how much it was a rich person's and rich countries club. Sure, they seemed to care in the heat of the moment, but after that? As Zemo said in Civil War, he spent 2 days before he could find the bodies of his family. And the Avengers? Well, they just went home. Where were the Avengers when it came to rescue and relief after the fact? Why had they gone home instead of helping people like Zemo find their missing families? Because this was some far-off land, and there were other people to help handle that. That kind of work was probably a bit beneath what they saw for themselves. After all, they're the superheroes, the mighty protectors of Earth itself. And as rich people often can be, they're disconnected and out of touch from average people. And wouldn't you have a bit of a superiority complex if you had superpowers or the super abilities that they have? Dang. Think how little thought Tony Stark probably ever gave to Adrian Toomes and his crew after the Battle of New York. Tony Stark put Adrian and many people like him out of work and in precarious positions, while he profited handsomely through his collusion with the government to clean up the mess. Now combine these perspectives and think how Zemo views the Avengers. They interfere internally in countries as they see fit without oversight, create the very problems that they then have to go save people from, and create all kinds of collateral damage in the process. And to top it all off, they shut on off and keep living their posh lives while others are left to clean up the mess that the Avengers leave behind. Heck, even Secretary Ross says that they seem unconcerned about what they leave behind, and he says it to their faces and gets no objection from them. If the Avengers are allowed to continue, then clearly this cycle continues as well. Now, up to this point, this argument that the Avengers need to be broken up, taken down a peg, I think you might agree has quite some merit. But then comes a little bit of a wrinkle, and this is the Sokovia Accords. The UN meeting that Zemo bombed was actually the meeting to ratify the Sokovia Accords, which that's an agreement that put superpowered individuals under the oversight of a UN panel that would determine when and where they could engage in the world. Well, a couple things. First, we can go ahead and note that Zemo's plan actually started over a year prior to this and was put into action before the Accords were actually even drafted. But if the Accords solve the problem, then the Avengers don't need to be broken up. But what if the Accords don't solve that problem? There are a couple of issues here. First, how much will the Avengers really follow the Accords? Zemo spent plenty of time studying the Avengers, and he probably made a pretty decent guess that they would still bend the rules and find ways to get around the Accords. These aren't people who like following other people's rules. And frankly, it's pretty obvious he's right, if that was the conclusion he came to. Heck, Tony Stark, in less than 24 hours after having signed the Accords, brings an unregistered superpowered individual, Spider-Man, into the fight and breaks the Accords right there. Oh, and then he breaks the Accords not that much later when he heads up to Siberia to go have the big ol' face-off with Zemo that turns into him trying to go ahead and kill Bucky. So, yeah. Just saying, if you think they're going to really abide by the Accords, plenty of proof right there. After the fact proof, but again, he studied them. Second, how even-handed will the UN panel actually be? Zemo is from Sokovia. He knows how rigged the game can be in favor of the rich and powerful countries. And any kind of panel like this from the UN is likely to heavily favor those countries and wealthy business interests too. And those rich countries already have a pretty poor record of respecting the sovereignty of tinier, less wealthy countries. So it probably wouldn't fix the problem, but just shift where the problem of the superpowered individuals is actually hitting and taking up residence, shall we say. But what if the Avengers were broken up? What if they were humbled by their own infighting? If their hubris was lessened, they might be a little less likely to interfere haphazardly. If they were off their high horse, they might be a little more likely to follow the Accords. Is it perfect? No, of course not. But it might improve the situation to break up the Avengers as opposed to where the situation was before that. And even it could be a benefit on top of the Accords, both in getting the Avengers to adhere to the Accords and getting them to be a little more conscious of the little guys that they otherwise are not paying that much attention to sometimes. So there you have it. Certainly his methods were despicable, but beyond simple revenge, there may have been another purpose Zemo was up to that may on the whole be correct, even admirable. Zemo was fighting for the little guys who were getting trampled by the Avengers, working on a solution that might actually do something. Perhaps I have convinced you to take a different look at Zemo as a misunderstood Marvel villain. At the very least, I hope to have painted a more well-rounded picture of Zemo and his actions. And as always, I find it fun to defend the seemingly indefensible, and I hope you enjoyed it too. Well, what about you? Do you think the Avengers are out of touch and the world might be better off with them broken up? And are there any other Marvel villains that you would like to see me attempt to show to be misunderstood Marvel villains? Let me know down below in the comments. And hey, let me not forget to thank my wonderful patrons. If you're interested in helping support the channel through Patreon, there's a link down below in the description. And for everyone, thank you for watching. If you liked the video, it always helps out if you give it a like, a share, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you again here next time for Freeform Marvel. Have a magical day, and may the Force be with you always.